The studs and duds of fall camp, winners and losers, Will Howard player comparisons, much more coming up right here on Ohio State Football with Scarlet and Great, joining the Chat Sports Network here. Thank you guys so much, and let's get right into it. We're going into the winners and losers of fall camp, the studs and the duds, if you will, whatever you want to call them. Other channels want to sit here and tell you, or maybe not channels, I've been watching Ohio State football for a while now. Springtime Riders, Springtime Forums want to tell you everybody's absolutely phenomenal. Everybody that sucked last year's, the light's coming on for them. Every coach that sucked all of a sudden doesn't suck anymore. I want to shoot you straight. I'll tell you who I think, from what I can decipher, who the winner is, who the loser is. A lot of times with these writers, if they're not absolutely drooling over the guy, then he's probably maybe a little bit of loser in camp. Real quick, before we get into the show, can I get 10 new subs to this show? Make sure you subscribe to the channel, notification on. If you love the Buckeyes, you're going to get more and more and more Buckeye content all through the season. Really devoting my time to this. I even have a special announcement about time being spent on this channel by myself. So we're going to really crank up the content like we used to. I would like to get the algorithm back up. So 10 new subs, closing in on a giveaway we will do at 6,000 subscribers. All right, real quick, right back into it. Winner number one of fall camp, Will Howard. No surprise. People acted like maybe, I think most people kept it real. Scarlet and Great was one of them. Back in the spring, we said, hey, it's going to be Will Howard. I don't think it's going to be much of a battle, but he still has to go out and prove it. Seems he went out and proved it. Ryan Day made the announcement much sooner than he did last year, which I think would have been the right move last year, but he was trying to breed some competition. Either one of his guys, he thought maybe really took it by the horns. Will Howard seems to have taken it by the horns. I think people know that there are limitations he has as a passer. But I think what people are really excited about are his legs. Now, granted, a running quarterback should keep the defense more honest and put more pressure on the defense than what we've had recently. I will say, though, it's not the best way to win football. Like, I want a guy who is a capable thrower. Like, no one went up against Tom Brady and Peyton Manning and said, I think we just got them pinned, guys, because they can't run. That is not the most effective way to win a football game, but it is a nice wrinkle. So Will have to show that he can put pressure on defense, complete a lot of passes, put good use of these weapons that he has around him. But I think the running is something that just kind of shores up his weaknesses. And I think he's going to be a pretty adequate passer. As far as player comparisons, we've seen that he can run. He's really, really big. So he's going to be a quick runner, maybe a bit of a gnarly runner because of his body size. So he'll be durable. And he'll be a guy that can pass pretty good. He'll be a guy where coaches and other players do most of the work for him. What I mean by that is Chip Kelly's going to scheme stuff up. Ryan Day's going to have input on scheming stuff up for him. And the players he's going to play with are just so dang good that they're going to be more open. You're talking Jeremiah Smith, Tate and Egbuka, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So you're going to see that. And I think the two running backs are going to do really, really well. So that's going to take a lot of the pressure off of him. So as far as the kind of player I've said before, I think it'd be White, JT, Barrett. Hopefully a little more polished of a passer than JT, or hopefully more consistent. That could get pretty frustrating at times to watch. This is something that I came up with, though, as another player comparison. You guys ready for this? Some people are going to really hate me about this. Another player comparison I came up with, thinking Chip Kelly style offense. Things schemed up for him. Mobile, not a killer runner, but mobile enough to hurt you. This is what I came up with. Marcus Mariota without the magic. Okay? All right. Now, I said without the magic. Mariota had some of those magical moments where he turned nothing into something. Those Heisman-type moments, right? But we saw in the pros, he wasn't the best passer in the world, but he's adequate, right? He was mobile enough to give people problems in college, especially. And he had somebody drawing up great offensive schemes for him to really take advantage of mismatches and the speed on the perimeter and pad stats, honestly, if we get right down to it, right? So I think he could be Marcus Mariota without the magic. I'm going to say a poor man's Mariota, maybe like a skilled blue collar Marcus Mariota, like an electrician or a specialized welder, a $60,000 a year, skilled, maybe, now today's economy, $80,000 a year, skilled blue collar Marcus Mariota. What do you guys think about that? I'd like to hear. Am I crazy? Comment yes if you agree. Why if you agree that he can be a little bit lesser version of Marcus Mariota, skilled blue collar Marcus Mariota, or comment crazy if you think that's crazy. If there's no way he can be even that good. So winner number 1, Will Howard, guys. Number 2, the next the next winner's fall camp, the running back room. There's a really I hate these sayings. I'm gonna go ahead and say one, but is as advertised, these summer forum sayings. I think everybody kind of knows. At this point, it's not like is as advertised as a really good recruit. Everybody knew how good Quinshon was down at the transferred in from Ole Miss. Everybody knew how good Trey was finally, and I'll admit I did not think Trey Henderson was that good. I mean, they told me his foot hurt, but I'm like, man, it's been hurt for 3 years. Like what? And then instead of a straight line speed guy, he became a guy that had vision and agility. It could make people. He had more agility than I thought. I didn't know he was that much of a make you miss guy. So now he's a make you miss and make you pay guy. And people say that they think Quinshon will be a little bit better. But I'm like, if he's not, I could also believe that because Trey showed me. Now, Trey has not showed me he can stay healthy for a season, but he showed me just how dang good he was last year. So Quinshon, Judkins, Trey Henderson. Did you guys see? I'm going to give credit where it's due. Chris Drew had an interview. If you look over to Menace to Sports podcast, Chris Drew had a interview with Sonny Styles. And one of the, you could put Sonny on here as a camp winner, I think, too. But one of the things that Sonny said is it's like we know how good this defense is supposed to be. And he said it's just as you would think the pressure on other defenses is going to be. He said for them in practice, it's Trey rips off a big one. Okay, sub him out. Who's coming at a Quinshon? Quinshon's coming in. Quinshon's beating us up. It's Trey coming in. Oh, gosh. No break, no rest for us. Kind of reminds me of that scene. You guys remember, I think it was the 2015 NBA Finals when LeBron James looks back and he sees Kawhi Leonard checking back into the game, and LeBron's like, I don't want that guy back in here guarding me. That is kind of the vibe I get that how defenses are going to say about this running back room. Just 2 home run hitters, 2 all-around backs, and I think you can mix James Peoples in there from everything we're hearing. That he's going to be a good a change of pace spell back, and rightfully so, right? You want to keep these young guys happy with NIL, transfer portal, etc. Number 3, Jeremiah Smith. I think I'm actually shocked at how everybody's like day one starter. I'm not saying I disagree. I do agree because it seems unanimous at that point. It's just tough for any freshman to get there in any position. And especially at Ohio. You think about the way Ohio State recruits wide receivers. Well, then how dang good do you got to be a day one starter, knowing that the guys ahead of you are the top receivers in the class year in and year out? Like, how good do you got to be? And then you think like, Carnell Tate's name been dropped. I haven't heard Brandon Ennis's name dropped as much. I wonder if I could add him down to the loser block. But because usually if people are quiet, there's a reason because they want to hype everything up. But Jeremiah Smith seems to be a day one starter. I've heard some rumblings that he could go up to receiver one. I'll just tell you right now, that is bogus. That is not going to happen. I have no inside information on this besides solid logic, and I'm not going to sit here and blow smoke just to get like a better view ratings in the offseason. He is not going to be receiver one, right? I take that to the bank. I told you last year Kyle McCord was going to be your starter. I told you this year is going to be Will Howard. Jeremiah Smith is not going to be wide receiver number one. However, I think he's going to be really dang good. I think for a freshman to come in and solidify himself as one of the three starting wide receivers, with Emeka Egbuka being a senior, and we know he's a 1,000-yard type guy, and we know he's a zone buster and everything else, and he's crazy good. And for him to come get one of the two available spots left, I think is very, very exciting. Huge winner. Like this video real quick if you're excited to see what Jeremiah Smith can do. If you see this young true freshman get in and be an absolute stud. All right. We got to get on to the duds. This pains me to tell you the truth, but there will always be duds. And someone on the O-line is a dud. I can't put my finger on who. The alarm I see, this is a pattern. No writers have come out and said, hey, this person's not very good. But they don't ever do that. Usually they tell me the person is coming along really well and looks to be a nice player. And that ends up meaning they are terrible. That's usually what that means. And I've heard Tegra's name thrown out a lot. Like, hey, he might have solidified the right guard spot or one of the guard spots. But he's a 6'6" guy, it seems like a tackle body. So who are we doing this thing again where there are players with quote unquote versatility, meaning that no one's standing out, so we're plugging and playing. You think about him, for him to have maybe a starting spot, and maybe he goes out to right tackle. Does that mean Fryer's not very good? I mean, we've seen that kind of some with him before. Does that mean Carson Hinsman can't take a guard spot or bump McLaughlin to guard like we always wanted anyway, since he had problems snapping the ball? Does that, I certainly don't think it means Donovan Jackson isn't seizing the day and taking a spot. Who is it along the line that's not holding up their end of the deal that is inserted Tegra into the conversation? Because the writers haven't said Tegra is so dang good, you just can't keep him off the field. It's like, no, Tegra is showing some versatility, might take a starting spot somewhere. First of all, that's not a good, I don't like the way that's worded at all, because again, people overhype everything when it comes into the summer. So that means there's a little bit of issues. I don't think this O-line will have the issues that it had last year, but I do look for them to come out of the gate and have some struggles, especially with this new blocking scheme. You'll say, well, who are they? What are they doing in practice? Well, we've seen it time and time again. The first few games, a lot of times it's looked like O-line hasn't practiced before. So I just stand by for that. Somebody there is not really, really blowing it out of the park like we think they should be. So somebody on the O-line is going to be the dud. I would like to hear from you. Comment who you think the dud will be in this scenario. All right, dud number 2. This pains me to say, Jaden Ballard, because I just haven't heard his name called enough. But I think at this point, people are like, yeah, he's just a senior. He's a feel-good story. He's been around. He's got good speed. He'll give somebody a breather. But when you look at, he'd break the cycle over Ennis, Carnell Tate, Brandon Ennis. They're still there. You look at Emeka Egbuka, he's not jumping him. Jeremiah Smith seems to jump him. So where's that put him? Does that put him at wide receiver 5, maybe? I say dud because I just think we were more hopeful that he would finally do it. And I don't like saying this about a kid who could have left and chose to stay at Ohio State. I don't like it. I don't like what seems to be bashing on kids, but I don't think that he is where it's going to be right now. I just don't think I don't think he's going to impress this year. I would love to find some ways to get him involved, some end around, some sweeps, but are they just going to give that to Ennis instead or Tate instead? Who knows? So Jaden Ballard, excuse me, got to get the caffeine pouring this morning. Jaden Ballard, I'm not buying it. I'm selling that stock. And lastly, but not leastly, who's had the worst fall camp is Michigan. With the news coming out, with more Jim Harbaugh news, more Jim Harbaugh, show calls ban. Oh, he's going to come back. No, he's not. Pending Connor Stalions types investigations, and they've reverted. Even Jim Harbaugh has reverted to his defense. He stood up in front of the NFL and told them, quote, at a press conference, guys, I'm an idiot. Everybody in the country, and especially in the conference, knew what was going on except me, and it was my team. I didn't do anything wrong because I didn't know about it. That's how stupid I am. And you're thinking, why would somebody say they're stupid? Well, because when they're dead to rights and they have no defense, the last defense you reach for is I'm an idiot. So comment for me, guys. LOL Michigan, if you think that Michigan's had a terrible fall camp and it's only going to get worse. That's going to be it for me. I will see you guys next time right here on Scarlet and Grade. As always, goodbye. God bless and go Bucks.